All right, let's go ahead and talk about all the little pieces of your formula. And the first thing I actually want to talk about is the fact that this is sigma. This is a Greek letter. And what does the Greek letter represent? Good. So that would be your, if we had the standard deviation for the entire population, then we would be using sigma. And that's what we're going to hope to do later on in this class, is hope that we can say this is for the entire population. Okay? This, because if we're just using a sample, then we're going to be using our regular old letter because we're using a sample. Now, standard deviation, as it says up there at the top of your paper, is the average distance from the mean. Okay, so let's think about our box plot that we were making. Okay, Rob was our mean, and then all of you guys were a certain distance away from Rob. Okay? All of you people that were on the upper part, the tall side of Rob, you had positive distances away from Rob, correct? All of you people that were on the lower side of Rob, you all had negative distances away from Rob, okay? You all deviated from the mean. This right here is called the deviation, and you have it on your paper here. It's the deviation because, look, it's telling you here, what does this little X with the little I stand for? That's all you individual people. That's all you individual people minus, that's all your individual heights, minus the mean, which in our class was Rob's height. So that's your deviation score. Well, if we had a perfectly symmetrical class, and I said, okay, let's take all you people that are on the positive side of Rob and all you people that are on the negative side of Rob, if we summed you all up together, what would you equal? If we were perfect in our distribution, y'all would equal 0. Because positives cancel with negatives. Okay, and in fact, that's an AP question, and it says down here on your paper, an AP multiple choice question is, it's starred, and it says, the sum of the deviation is always 0. Does that make sense? No, that's an AP question, and that's true. Does that make sense? That all you people over here that were above positive heights above Rob, if I added you to all of the negative heights below Rob, and we were equally distributed, then that they would cancel each other out, summing to 0. Added them together, because a positive 5 inches above Rob would cancel out with a negative 5 inches below Rob, and that would equal out to 0. So the deviation score is always going to be 0 when you sum it. That's why in this formula for the standard deviation, that's why they square it. What does squaring do for you? It makes the deviation not negative anymore, but positive. Okay. So we're going to add together all of our deviations, and then I'm going to divide by how many I have. Isn't that going to give me an average of how far I am away? So this is dividing by how many I have. But if I have a sample, do I have everybody? It's just a sampling. And so I probably don't have the highest high or the highest low. So that's why it's n minus 1. If I was talking about an entire population and I knew it was the entire population, instead of dividing by n minus 1, I would have divided by n. N is how many, the number of things there are. Okay, so, yes, and we're going to do some in our book. In fact, we're going to go through one of the ones in our book and go through how to do this on the calculator, and then hopefully you'll get a better idea of what we're actually finding. So let's do that. Let's all learn how to do some of these things in our calculator. So once you get your calculator out, we're going to make a histogram, we're going to make a box plot, and we're going to do the one variable stats in our calculator. And I want to use one of the problems in your book. Okay, so let's turn in your book to the Chapter 5 problems. And then the ones that I want to do is number 22. No, that's not true. Just kidding. Number 8. We're going to start with number 8 in the book. Okay, so this is number 8 on page 91. Because I will tell you that if you have to calculate the deviation of 130 scores by hand, that's just going to be really ugly. That would mean I had to find out how far every single one of those, first figure out the average. Then total up all of those differences and square up. Anyway, it's just a nightmare. So let's do that. And let me go ahead and pull up my calculator. Page 91, number 8. I'm going to pull up my Smart View. Oh, this is just a sample, by the way. Okay. So see, look, here is our calculator, and we're going to look at all these different screens, and we're going to get to do number 8. Okay? So what I want you to do, actually, let's go to number 8 in our book, and we're going to put in those lists. Number 8 says, the frequency table shows the height of 130 members in the choir. We have the height and we have the count. We're going to go and put those lists into our list. So we're going to go under Stat, and we're going to Edit, and we're going to put in our list. Okay? So Stat, I hit this button right here, Stat, Edit. Okay? And so Stat, Edit. If you look right over here on the side, this shows you what buttons I pushed. Okay? Yes, it is. It's different. Okay, so would you go ahead and enter in all your information? 60 inches to 76 inches is going to be your first list. So 60. Okay. So I entered all those in. Okay, so now explain to me what that means in that when it says count. What does 2 mean when it's next to 60? 2 people in the choir are 60 inches tall. Yes. We can go get a different one for right now, please. Okay, what number is it? Yeah, that one's that way. Just put that one on my desk. Okay, so put these in here. So can I call them out for you? Would that help you? Sure. 60 inches is 2, 6, 9, 7, 5, 20, 18, 7, 12. Okay, so I should now be to 69 inches, and there are 5 people that are 69 inches. 11, 8, 9, 4, 2, 4, 1. Okay, so you need to get all those counts in there correctly. Yes. Why are you not doing this? You have it in already? See how I paused that for that? Okay. So, now, okay, the first question says, find the 5-number summary. Okay, so we can do that. So let me show you this really cool way how to find the 5-number summary. 5-number summary being what? Minimum, Q1, maximum, Q1, median, and Q3. Okay, so you have to do our one variable stats. And gosh, you know what, I have to pause this one more time. All right, so I want to calculate my one variable stats so that I can get my 5-number summary, and it'll give me even more than my one number summary. So I'm going to go stats and calculate stats. So I'm going to go over to calc, and there it is. So I'm going to calculate those stats. Oh, see, I had something up there before. So it says one variable stats, but I want to put one variable stats of what are the stats I'm going to calculate. Where were they? In my list. Okay? So you need to put parentheses. You need to do list 1, which is in blue above the number 1. So I go second 1, and that's list 1. Now, if I only put list 1, then all I have is one person that's 60 inches and one person that's 61 inches and one person that's 62 inches and so on. So is list 2 important? Why? Because that's the frequency, how many counts there were of those particular things. So I need to put comma and include list 2 as well, which is second L2. Okay, I'm going this, I'm doing second 1, that gives me L1, and comma, second 2 gives me L2. Okay? All right, now, anybody lost for that? Now I hit enter, and it calculates all that stuff for me. So what is X bar right here? What's X bar? That's the mean. See, X bar is the mean. And if you wanted to know what all the sum of all of those individual counts were, it was that. If you wanted to know the sum of the X squared, there it is. Okay, look, SX. What's that? SX. I know you can't read it, so here we go. I'll write it. This would be the standard deviation of a sample is 3.79. So that means that's the average distance that you are from, that the average person was that far away from the mean of height. That was S of X. That means we divided by n minus 1 when we did our division. And this would be the population if we knew it was the entire population, which it might have been for the girls, but we'll just use the S one. Yes. Yeah. 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 I mean, you don't have to have it memorized. Yes. Yes, it was. Ours was 4 inches. Yeah. Wait, no, that was it. And when we did this human box plot, that was our interquartile range, and that's where 50% of our data fell within 4 inches. And this is kind of similar to it. If our information wasn't skewed, ours was a little skewed. We had a little more people that were like in the 67s. Ours was a little skewed. If our class was perfectly normal and we had done this kind of thing, our standard would have probably come out to be about 4. Yeah. No, leave it, do it to 2 decimals. Yes. Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, it is. Look, watch this. Scroll down. Ta-da! 5-number summary. So our minimum was 60. Our if we had thought that this was a skewed set of information, And we should use a box plot instead of our mean. If we should use median and inner quartile range instead of mean and standard deviation, then here's our 5-number summary. Median is 66, so on. Yes. That's okay. No, it's all right. Some box plots can go straight up and down or across. Hey, let me ask you this. Can you tell from this data if this is skewed or not? Our median is 66. Okay? Our median is 66. Now, what was our mean? What's the first number? What's our X bar? 67. So we are skewed a little bit. We are a little bit, our data is, these girls in this choir are a little bit, what? Taller. We have a little bit more on the taller side. Or we have somebody that's really tall pulling the average up. Be a little bit more tail left, yes. Okay. Okay. So I tell you what, let's look at a picture of this. Y'all are asking me, what does this look like, all that kind of stuff. Let's look at a histogram of it. Okay. So here is how you do a histogram. Ready? Next thing to learn, how to make a histogram, because don't you need to know if this thing is skewed or not? Because you need to know, am I going to use the mean and the standard deviation, or should I get a better representation by using the median and the inner quartile range? We would use these if we have got it really skewed or we have outliers. We would use this one if it's pretty symmetric and looks pretty normal. Okay? So we need to know what it looks like. In fact, that's one of the conditions that you should check. You should go and put it in, look at it, so you know, should I go here or should I go down here? The 5-number summary will build you a box plot. The 5-number summary is the numbers you need to build yourself a box plot. And you use the 5-number summary to build a box plot. Yes, definitely. Okay, so let's do a histogram. Here we go. We do a histogram with a stat plot. So go second, y equals, and that gets you your stat plot. Second y equals. Okay, let's go into one of them. Yours you may have some on, you may have some off, I don't know. Why don't you turn them all off if they're not all off? And the way you can do that is hit 4 enter and it'll turn them all off. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go into this first plot. I'm going to hit enter to go in there. And I'm going to hit enter to go in there. Okay? So I've hit second y equals enter so far. So look, I'm going to turn it on. I turn it on. Now, we're not making a scatter plot. We're not going to make a line plot. What are we going to make over here? The histogram. So go over to the picture of a histogram. And do you see pictures of box plots there? Yes. Okay. Now, so, oh my gosh, it'll make a box plot. Yes, it will. Okay. So now, we don't have to do any of this. For X list, put L1. If there had only been one girl of each height, then for the Y, well, I guess we need this for the, oh darn, that's because I haven't gone over here yet. Hold on. I know, it should say frequency. I didn't hit enter, sorry. Okay. Sorry, that's what I meant to discuss, but I forgot to hit enter. Okay. If all we needed was L1 because there was only one girl of each height, then we would just leave our frequency as 1. But didn't we have multiple counts of our list and stuff? Remember, so we need to incorporate our L2. So what should I put here for frequency? That means how often did the girl types appear? Okay, so that was L2. So go second, 2, so the L2 shows up there. So now it's going to account for all of those counts that we put in there in the list too. Now we're going to zoom stats because it'll automatically fit a beautiful window for us. So zoom, go down here, look at number 9. Look at number 9. Boom. Ha, there it is. Okay. So there's our histogram, and we can see it's unimodal and somewhat, it's unimodal and it's somewhat, so if we hit trace, then I can figure out what all those values are. So I hit trace, and there's the minimum at 60, and look at how many people are. Actually, this is a group that's between 60 and less than 62. So how many people are between 60 and 62? Okay. And the next one is between 62 and 64, and how many people are between 60 and 16? Okay. And then look at there, between, so that's the key, is hitting trace, so you can see that. Okay. Now, based on this information of the picture of this graph, would you feel comfortable using the mean and the standard deviation, or would you feel like you need to definitely use the median and the interquartile range? I'll have to tell you, this one is pretty good. So I would say it's acceptable on this one to go ahead and do the mean and the standard deviation because it's somewhat symmetrical and unimodal, okay? It doesn't have big outliers, does it? So it's probably pretty okay to use mean and standard deviation, okay? Now, let's change this information to a box plot, okay? So here is our next thing to learn. How to look at a box plot. Let's say I had decided, that looks a little skewed, too skewed. I have too many outliers. So I'm going to go, let's just see what our outliers were, by the way. Let's go over here and see. Oh, look, I had one person there that was between 76 and 78 inches. Okay. So let's say I then say, I think that's a little too skewed. I should probably use the box plot. So I'm going to use my 5-number summary and do that by hand. Or I'm going to go second y equals, and I'm going to go into my plot. And instead of being a histogram, what am I going to do? A box plot. Now, I'm curious. I honestly want to see what the difference would. Okay, I have to right arrow over. Okay, so this one is not going to give me my interquartile range because you see how it's not got the complete box there. We want the one with two things in the middle. So that's the one we want. Hit enter. It will still give you outliers. It'll still give you outliers. Okay? So you hit enter. Do I still want my X list to be L1 and my frequency to be L2? When would if I had only one girl per height, I would have put a 1 for frequency. Okay? So zoom stats is zoom 9. And ta-da! There it is. And how can you see what all those numbers are? If you press trace, and ta-da! The median is 66. The quartile one is 65. The minimum is 60. Okay. Q3 is 70 and the max is 76. Okay. Questions there? So that's the calculator stuff. Oh, let's see here. See where we are. Yes. Yes, you can do that on your quiz. Okay. I wanted to show you on your AP statistics formula chart, you don't have to have these formulas memorized. You know, when I was deciding if I wanted to teach this class last year, I was thinking, okay, I need to look at the formula chart, look what kind of stuff this is. And I looked at it and I pretty much freaked out because I had no idea what any of this stuff was. So you probably feel the same way. But in essence, we're going to go through them all individually this year until you know what they are. This one we've already discussed. Look what I'm doing. That's X bar. What does that give you? Your mean. Okay, furthermore, what do you do when you find the mean? You sum up all of your individual X values and you divide by the number that there are. So you know what that means. This one right here, what does that one look like? That is your standard deviation, okay? So it's all right there on the formula chart, so I'll let you have that if you need it. Okay, let's see. I think that's about it. Now let's go over some homework problems. Let me go ahead and stop this.